Content warning. This video includes accounts of abuse and coercive control in a cult context. Viewer discretion is advised.
Can you give us a brief history of your experience in Scientology?
What happened is, I'm 35, I was born in 1974, and my parents were in Scientology. So I actually did a couple of courses, but wasn't really involved that much with Scientology until I was 15. And when I turned 15, I actually joined on staff and became a member of the Sea organization, at the age, just after my 15th birthday.
Yeah.
And I stayed there until I was, 21. So I did 6 years, for them. And then after that, I was involved in Scientology again for another year and a half before I finally left it for good. And I haven't been involved since then.
So you were in the Sea from when you were, say, 15 to about 22 or something?
That's correct, yes.
So how did that affect you as a young man? I mean, like, you missed out some of those prime years there.
It was hard because I didn't know what I was missing until afterwards. How I dealt with life in there was difficult because, I mean, as a young man, I was trying to grow. I was trying to go out and find different likes and dislikes, and all of that was crushed because the only liking you could have was for the purpose of the Sea Org. The only liking you could have was for the music produced by Golden Era Productions. The only books you could read were from L. Ron Hubbard. You know, you couldn't go off and read this or that. You couldn't listen to radio. You couldn't read the newspapers. You couldn't buy magazines. You know, you couldn't even watch TV. So your whole life was that. And, you know, as a young man, I wanted to, you know, I was growing. You know, I was going through puberty.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think it was wrong to want to love another human being. You wouldn't think it was wrong to show emotion or liking towards a woman.
Yeah.
And the moment you do that in there, you're punished. You know, I wanted to experience sex. I wanted to touch a female body. And the moment I did it, I'm dragged into this office by these men that tell you you're an ape. You're an ape for masturbating. You're evil for having even considered the idea of touching this woman outside of marriage, you know. And, you know, I look around me and see the people that are married in this place, and they don't even get to see their wives. So why would I want that? I just wanted to know what it was like to kiss a woman, and this is punishable. And I'm forced onto the decks, and I'm made to clean and do hard labor as amends to repent for it. And I'm held in this office and told, read this. This shows that, you know, if you think about ejaculation, you think about touching a woman, you're an ape. You're not in control of your emotions.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a young man. I'm hardwired. This is what young men, young women do. And you're left there with choices. How do I handle this? How do I resolve not wanting to express this desire? So you come up with a solution.
Yeah.
And the solution was horrible. I have to stop wanting sex. I have to stop it and then when you try to stop wanting it, they take you in an interrogation and the thought of wanting to have sex, well, the thought leads to the action, therefore don't even have the thought.
Right.
So how do you deal with this? How does your mind cope? Well, I started to comprehend things. I'd get an erection and I'd think of something like cockroaches or a horror film or vampires or anything, something that would make me go like that so that I could turn it off and let my erection go down. I wore tight pants, tight underwear so that it would crush and cut off the blood there so that it couldn't act, so it couldn't do what it was supposed to do, which was grow and erect and make me want to go off and have hormones.
Yeah.
You know, anything that turned that on, I wanted to turn it off.
Yep.
And this goes on and on and on, and eventually your mind identifies sex with real pain because the action results in such pain in this organization, in Scientology management, it results in such punishment that it is evil for you to do this.
Yeah.
This is a fundamental dynamic and a right of a human being and a desire, and, you know, it's gone. It's crushed. And while everyone else out there was going through that between their great teenage years and experiencing and finding out true love, I was finding out what it was like to be punished for the thought
Yeah.
of it.
So after you left the SEALs, so when you were 22, how did that affect you then? I mean, how did you cope with that after that?
Can you imagine? I'd been doing it for so long, having these images in my mind to turn me off from having sex, that when it actually came time to be with a woman properly outside the church confounds and have sex,
Yeah.
I had to have the lights off. Not for some arousal reason. I had to have the lights off because I had to close my eyes, and now I had to have those images in my mind, those horrible images, to have sex, because my body over the last 6 years got used to the idea of having the erection and having these mental images of terror and ugly, disgusting things. And the body got overrode it and said, right, we will have an erection now when you have these ideas. So when I'm with these women, I'm not thinking about the woman. I'm not even thinking about other women. I'm thinking about anything else other than sex, so that I can now have sex. And if you want to talk about dysfunctional, this doesn't even begin to comprehend it. I feel sorry for my wife that I had in Melbourne. I feel sorry for her because she didn't understand why sex was so hard for us, why emotion, why touching, why the speaking of the word love was just a foreign idea to me.
Yeah.
You know, touching, that's, my mind goes, heavy petting, don't do it. My mind just jumps to this, don't touch in public.
Yeah.
In private, don't do anything. Wait till you go to the bedroom only.
Yeah.
We're talking about a real for your mind.
Yeah. Good, yeah. Can you describe what you think that you became or how you became as a SEAL member? You've spoken to me before about, the fact that you feel like that wasn't you and now you're trying to find you back, get you back.
I didn't know what to do to survive, to feel good. I had to do something that resulted in happiness. And when you're in an environment that only rewards you when you've done what is needed to be done, as opposed to what you think should be done or what is right. After years of that, you decide, I'm going to do what I need to in order to get an applaud. I'm going to do what I need to in order so I can sit down and be in peace. And often those things, unfortunately, meant, in my position there in the church, being always in the communications office, always in charge of ethics and morality issues for staff, with such a heavy burden on punishment and making people do what I wanted to do, that's where I got my enjoyment from. I didn't have friendships like that. My friend could be a friend the next day, and then the next day I'd be penalizing them out of a job. So I had to learn that you didn't get happiness from friendships, and relationships were a no-go. Where do you get happiness from? Enjoying what you must do. And that's where I got my happiness from. Right or wrong had nothing to do with it. I didn't even, those two words did not come into the equation.
Right.
And unfortunately for the human beings around me that were very much not treated like human beings, they suffered because of the result of that. Because they were dealing with a man here that looked at them like this. And now here I am as an adult outside of that. And I'm looking around at people. They're no longer assets. They're no longer parts of a machine. They demand respect. They want to be treated like a living thing. I'm still trying to get there. I'm sorry, but for 6 years of my life, non-stop, every day, assets. They're parts of a machine, and I must make them work.
So you didn't view them as people with feelings or...
Well, you can't, no, because even the concept of dealing with their feelings or am I going to ignore their emotions didn't even come into the equation anymore. What has that got to do with what I've got to do for the church? I'm sorry, I have got to get this product. I have got to get this done. Their consequence of how they felt about it can't be part of the equation. And it can't be part of my equation. I got to a point where I didn't lose sleep. If I asked this person to have an abortion, I didn't lose sleep. I didn't even think twice after it. My only consideration was, God, I don't have to fill that post again with another person because they're going to abort. Or if they did decide that they were going to have the baby, then I was going, Christ, I have to hire someone to replace them. There was no joy. There was no celebration. There was no announcement. Hey, Monica Potter's going to have a baby. The joy of life. There was no announcement of this.
Yeah.
Instead, it was Monica's betrayed us and she's going to leave the organization and we're going to have to work harder because she's betrayed the trust. That's the viewpoint. There was never the word love spoken in one single conversation.
Yeah.
No, it's do this. You know, I'd look out on the public Scientologists. At least they had the option to have that.
Yeah.
As a staff member, that in the SEAL, there wasn't that option. You could have a relationship. You could have love. Public Scientologist, he had the joy of getting auditing and this apparent privilege to speak. I had the penalty. I had security checks and interrogation every 2 months. That was my auditing. When something went wrong with a public Scientologist auditing, you had a chance to get it corrected. I didn't. We went off to the cramming office and were told, M9, you know, clear up your misunderstood words, your out ethics.
Yeah.
You know, that was my experience. Your experience, you had a win in Scientology, you enjoyed a moment. You could go out to a cafe and talk to your friends. The moment I had anything out of it, I come out of the auditing session, 5 minutes later, I'm back on post. Right, who am I going to court-martial today?
Yeah.
Or who's on my list to go off and get?
So what was your post when you were doing this?
Most years I spent was over in Los Angeles, and there I was in charge of the communications or the establishment division of the messenger organization. And the messenger organization are those people that are charged with the highest authority within the church to basically do what's ever needed at any time, written or verbal is not applicable, and enforce that upon management. So whereas management were over local management units within continents that were then over the organizations, we were over management and overrode their decisions or asked them to do whatever was needed. Because often parts of the puzzle didn't understand why they were doing particular activities. It seemed innocent enough.
Yeah.
But only the CMO and RTC were actually in full control of the facts. Why do we need that org over there, that organization, to do particularly well right now? Why? Well, maybe we've got a legal case coming up and we need to strengthen the field out there. We need to get that part working.
Right.
It's all about the church. I didn't care about the individuals involved. They just, can we get it done? You're a piece of meat. We called staff members coins. That was the term. When we had a person that we could get a position filled with and we'd shove them off to flag, you know, shove them down to Florida. It didn't matter if he had a child there. It didn't matter if he had a wife in Los Angeles. That's not the point. I can take this guy, I can send him over to the flag land base and I can fix that problem. And then he starts screaming about the fact that he's away from his family. It's like, excuse me, SEAL policy says you will do anything required of you in the name of the SEAL, and you will do it. If you don't, you're in ethics conditions. Do you have doubts about being a SEAL member? Do you have doubts? You're a suppressive person. Do you want to be declared? We're going to have to tell your wife and kids that. And then you separate them off. Right, your communication's over. Talk to the wife. I'm sorry, but your husband has decided that he's got doubts on the SEAL. He's not willing to perform his duties. And, you know, we've done a security check on him, and sorry to tell you, but he's actually thought about going out 2D on you. He's thought about other women.
Right.
You know, he's not really in line with the purpose anymore. And sadly to say, you're not part of his equation anymore either. You can do something about this. You can leave him and stay in the SEAL. You can do this. And sure enough, she sits down there and goes, geez, why did he go to Florida and walk away from me? And then she takes a look at it. Was he a good father? Oh, I never got to spend time with him anyways. What value is he really as a partner? Because there is no value, because you don't have time to have a relationship. So it's not hard for that person to go, right, I will divorce. If you took a look at the statistics of the SEAL and every member in it and looked at how many marriages they had, we've got people that have been married 2, 3, 4, 5 times.
Yeah.
And this is all from a church that claims to be able to solve these problems in relationships. And just about every SEAL member has got a history of 1 or 2 marriages.
So how often did that happen? Well, you described about, I'm talking to the wife and getting that marriage to be dissolved. How often did that happen?
Well, quite a lot.
That you knew of?
Well, quite a lot. I mean, let's understand one thing. When I was over in Los Angeles working there, we had the entire middle management, some 500 staff.
Now, this was the late 80s, early 90s, wasn't it?
Mid-90s.
Mid-90s.
93, 94, 95,
Okay.
96. We had around 500 staff. Now, if you could imagine for a moment, possibly having each staff member being in some serious trouble perhaps twice in a year. That equated to 1,000 incidents per year. Over my 3-year period there, that's some 3,000 incidents. Now, this staff member over here may hear about something, but from my position in the communications office, we're the ones who are dealing with it every day.
Yeah.
So I dealt with this quite a lot. How many instances, you asked? I couldn't even give you a figure. It would be, if we were going to talk about specific incidents of sitting a guy down about his marriage, or the issue with talking to his family, then we're talking hundreds.
Right.
Some of these young kids, they're all from around the world. They've got no other hope other than the hope that we give them. They've been told to disconnect. Their families are asking for them back. They want them back for Christmas.
Yep.
We don't want them to go away on Christmas because we know if we send them away, if we allow them to go, there's a high probability that they're not going to want to come back. So don't let them go in the first place.
Right.
Now, what happens is the family arcs up, goes, come on, you're entitled to several weeks leave per annum, come back, have it. What I would do, give them a security check, give them an interrogation. I'm sorry, but you did this wrong. You're going to have to do conditions. You're going to have to do liability. This could take you several months. We can't approve your request for leave. Denied. And then the family starts sending letters. What are you involved in that you can't even take time off? I received the letter. All communications to the staff from the public are monitored. I see the communication. I go, oh God, they're going to get him out. So I pull the staff member in, put the letter over here. Excuse me, your family, I think, is anti you being here. And they'll look down and go, God, I know. They know it. Of course they're anti them being there. They haven't been able to see them in a year or two.
Yeah.
And you talk to them and you go, well, what you're doing here in the SEAL, in Scientology, is far more important than your immediate family. Let's get them on the phone and talk to them. And you coerce them into talking with them, giving them a public relations story. Oh, I will come back in a month or two. Another month or two goes past. They start getting angry. They start making phone calls. You start blocking off those calls. And finally, you tell the staff member, you know what? It's time to disconnect. They're really against you being here. And guess what? The staff member goes, you know what? You're right. So I talk to them and they just yell and scream at me now and start criticizing Scientology. They must be crazy. So disconnect. Okay, disconnect. Good. Fair roads, fair weather. You only write them once a month. Talk about how great it is. Tell them you're having fun. You don't want to get them upset about you. And eventually the family line disappears. And then one day, this person wants to think about leaving the SEAL, and how are they supposed to? They've got nowhere to go and why. They don't have bank accounts. They don't have credit cards. They don't even know what's going on out in the world. There's no newspapers. There's no television. There's no magazines. They're completely dependent upon now the life that you give them.
Yeah. Yep.
What do you do as a human being? If you even know you're a human being anymore. If that concept is still real to you. You haven't gone off and played sports. You haven't sat and been to a movie together. You've worked 14 hours a day. You're a machine now.
Yeah.
And machines don't have the luxury of thinking. You just do. You just do.
Yeah. So tell me, what's your take on DM being responsible for this, as opposed to, say, LRH and Scientology itself?
Oh, it's good for somebody to point the finger and blame that one man in his entirety, one tyrannical man. Yes, David Miscavige is tyrannical, but I was just the same. I was one of those. There's no difference between DM and myself. There wasn't. I would have done everything he did, and I did.
And others as well did the same.
We're all created, but where did that creation come from? What makes it okay? Okay, I'll tell you what does. What you see, what the public out there see is when Scientology's policies are criticised, we'll get together these books, we'll get together these volumes of policy letters, and we'll show the world these are your policies. Well, guess what? But we won't show you what the SEA organisation runs off. Our own separate set of orders from Ron. Our own flag orders numbering in the thousands. We have Office of Special Affairs special orders. We have special training materials for messengers. Special orders only for messengers. And even within the SEAL, most of the flag orders are not even known to the very SEAL members, but they are to management. And then within management, even a smaller group are privy to the other policy letters. These policy letters dictate these actions that they are okay. Altercations between staff members are acceptable. This is Ron's words.
These physical altercations.
That's correct. These words are not heard by or known by public Scientologists. These are his words saying you can beach a human being and throw him overboard. This is Ron Hubbard saying you may put a person in the rehabilitation project force and bar all communication with other human beings, that you may be punished for communication. I'm talking any communication, unless prompted and instructed to speak.
Yeah.
These are policies that say the purpose of the SEAL has nothing to do with the creed of Scientology. This is about putting ethics on the planet, and it's about control. These policies instruct and guide you on how to take care of an enemy network or group of people that are attacking the SEAL of Scientology. These are not the same policy letters you see, or a public Scientologist in what you call the potential trouble source suppressive person rundown course. These are far more aggressive than anything you've ever imagined. And that's the machine. David Miscavige is just enforcing the policies and following them as a zealot.
Yep.
He's not making this stuff up. These policies really exist to do this, to act in that way, to use aggression.
So how many others would know about these policies or these,
A number. I'll give you an example. I was surprised to hear Marty Rathbun's departure from the church.
Right.
I met Marty Rathbun several times and was involved with him at the Flagland base up in Los Angeles, and I also met him on the ship. And what amazed me is that people like Marty Rathbun and Mike Rinder aren't talking about anything. They don't even see what the real crime's here. I mean, they're talking about David Miscavige giving him a slap. Sorry, but this happened throughout this organisation. Foster Tompkins used to beat staff. DM used to do it. They're not the first people to hit another human being.
Yeah.
What's shocked me, though, is that Marty Rathbun, Mike Rinder, were involved in having staff members being fed beans and rice for weeks at a time at the Flag Land Base and in the Hollywood Guarantee Building, denying children nutritional supplements. Mike Rinder in specific, allowing young men and women to be hired. And how did we fix their educational requirements? We paid a Scientologist out in Los Angeles to give them a certificate that said they had approved educational standards. Yet Mike Rinder and Marty aren't even looking at these things as crimes. They're not looking at the fact that we didn't even provide medical provisions for staff. We didn't have women get pap smear tests to check for cervical cancer, to check their eyesight. The answer to everything is, we'll audit you, but you don't get auditing. And there's Marty Rathbun and Mike Rinder talking about, I got slapped by David Miscavige, and that's their big crime in 20 years. I'm sorry, that's not the crime. And why aren't they talking about it? Maybe they don't even think that what they did was a crime. The only reason they're talking about David Miscavige slapping them is because they felt physical pain. To them, that's a crime. And labelling David Miscavige as the cause of all this, untrue. Marty Rathburn himself has reamed out staff. Marty Rathburn himself has been tyrannical. Mark Ingber has been tyrannical. Mark Yeager, a tall, imposing figure and often the head of the Commodore's messenger organisation, a very imposing individual who has walked around the organisations going, "Sec check him. You're off post. You do this. You're going on mission. You're out ethics." They're not even talking about these incidents. David Miscavige had nothing to do with those. And that's how Mark Yeager liked to run his messenger organisation, and that filtered down through management. I was running around the Hollywood Guarantee building. You're out ethics. Sorry, we've got a policy in the church, in the seal, that says I can RPF one person out of Flag Bureau every week. I don't need justification. I just need to keep you on your toes. Who's it going to be this week? Better not be the down statistic guy. You could be next. Watch it. Then fear is the dominating factor. Fear gets compliance.
Yeah.
Willingness doesn't. LRH talks about using affinity to obtain compliance. Only for a public Scientologist. Look into the policy letters and it's rife. The SEAL's policy letters are rife with aggression and command and discipline for even misaddressing a senior officer. And sometimes in the mind of a person probably viewing this video, it would be hard to reconcile the two different human beings I'm talking about. L. Ron Hubbard, the founder, L. Ron Hubbard, the dictator and commodore of the Sea organization. But the two people are the same. And people maybe listening to this who have been in the SEAL know this is true and thought that it was the exception that they were treated like that.
Yeah.
It's not the exception. It's the rule. And the higher you go up, the worse it gets. The problem is, you can't disagree.
Yeah.
Because if you disagree, even mentally, you'll get a security check. And one of the questions will be, have you thought? So now it becomes wrong to even have the thought. So if you can't do, you can't think, you can't compute now. So now you have to turn off that part of your mind that even thinks. Because you can't afford to think, is it right or wrong what my senior just did?
Yeah. So tell me, when these SEAL people say in the HGG building in LA, whatever, were getting the beans and rice and weren't getting medical attention and things, what was the scene for the guys in the upper management? Guys like Mark Yeager, Guillaume Lazev, Marty Rathburn, Mike Rinder. What was the scene for them?
Lavish. I'll give you an example.
Lavish?
Lavish. Spending.
Yeah.
For them, I'll give you an example. About 3 times a year, David Miscavige, Marty Rathburn included, Guillaume Lazev, the Executive Director International, various members of the Watchdog Committee, would all come down to Florida. We had for them special apartments built at the Hacienda Gardens that were just gorgeous. Spanish marble, layered throughout, luxurious kitchens, gymnasiums for them with the latest equipment. I arranged the purchase of one piece of gym equipment at a cost of almost $10,000. And you know what they did with it? Ronnie Miscavige got up on it and did his little trick of hanging by his toes. This is David Miscavige's brother.
Yeah.
And that's how amusing the instrument was to him. It was a toy. And then we would take cash funds and we would allocate vast amounts of money to get Pontiac Grand Am so they could drive around in luxury. I'd arrange drivers if they wanted drivers to drive them around while everyone else walked or got on a packed bus. Their diets were special. They had special nutritional requirements, so we would buy wheatgrass and wheatgrass juices and fine coffees from France, coffee houses and crackers from Switzerland. You know, you'd have to make this shit up almost to believe it. But this was their budget. And then we would take that huge amount of cash and it would be exhausted. And then we would justify the expense through falsification of some kind of a record or receipt that we could get from a public Scientologist or something. And that was declared the usage of the monies. But we were talking thousands of dollars here. The average SEAL member got less paid to him in 1 year than what one executive would have just spent on his luxuries in a week. And this is how they lived. I got a $10 sealed shirt. Marty Rathburn, David Miscavige, they got $150 back in 1992. $150 for a handmade Egyptian cotton shirt. And we were made to hand wash them for them. Because we couldn't put it in a machine. That one shirt that he got was worth more than all the uniforms I would get in 2 years.
Yeah. But you had a senior position too. You were, what was your...
Well, I took luxuries. I mean, after they left the base, I always made sure there was enough good food left over for me and some of my people in the messenger organisation too. I mean, we ate like kings as well, so we liked them coming in. Because after they left, who gets the spoils of war? We do. Yeah, we went off and finished off that big shopping that we did. It was so tragic for us if the executives had to leave early because all that great food and stuff. I mean, we dreamed about food like this. You get what you're eating in the SEAL. If we put them on beans and rice at the Flag Land Base to teach them a lesson. I mean, I'm not talking beans and rice for dinner. I'm talking beans and rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
Okay. And they tried to go up to the canteen to buy food. We posted security guards to prevent them from buying other food because otherwise the punishment wasn't being enforced and understood by the staff member.
Right. So were you guys on beans and rice at the same time?
No, actually, sometimes we were, yeah.
But sometimes you weren't?
No, sometimes we got away with it, yeah. Because technically we weren't part of the Flag Land Base. We were messengers. And over in Los Angeles as well. We'd find ways to get around it. I mean, the messengers are a power unto their own. They're a law unto themselves. They're not answerable to anybody. If we really wanted to get around something, we could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea is we looked at management like chalk and cheese. Management and Scientologists are the scum that we have to deal with, and frankly, any bullshit that they give us is an inconvenience to us. You know, we're the messengers. We're authorized by policy to do anything we want. You can't stop us. There's nothing you can do. So everything that went wrong in management was looked at not as a responsibility, but as, oh God, here we go again. Got to fix this. And I look at a staff list and I see names. I don't see humans. I see names. I don't look at a person's file and see a human being and his horrible experience as a childhood or what happened to him. I look and go, Christ, is he going to fall apart if I put him on that post? My consideration isn't to fix him. My consideration is, can I use him?
Right.
Is he good enough for what I want? Is he robust enough? Is he turned off enough so that he can put up with this position I'm going to give him? Care of staff members. Sorry, we have an ethics office. We don't have a chaplain. There is nobody to go grieve to. You grieve to the ethics officer. I was the ethics officer. And the solution is always the same. You already did something wrong. You're the cause of your demise. And you're wasting my time. Yes. Out. And then after that, if he still misbehaves, Christ, okay, we'll give him a committee of evidence. We'll give him a declare. These are extreme. To go declaring a person is an extreme action. You're cutting them all off from everybody he knows.
Yeah.
Now, and what concerns me is that we've got people out there who have had positions similar to mine within the Sea organisation, within the church, such as Marty Rathburn and Mike Rinder, and I'm not understanding why they keep coming forward with these statements, I'm a victim. They were the aggressors.
Yep.
Everyone's a victim. If you really want to go down to that level, we're all victims, you know. But hang on, we're talking about thousands of people worldwide and stories coming out from all levels, and apparently no one's doing it. It's just all a magic trick. I'm sorry, but Marty Rathburn and Mike Rinder are totally responsible. They stood by and watched while they instructed their HCO communication officers to do these things to their own staff, to deny them liberties, to deny them days off. This is not a crime. Basic fundamental human rights in a civilized society say you get medical treatment, you have the right to work some certain hours, you should enjoy life, you should do other activities. And Mike Rinder, as the commanding officer of the Office of Special Affairs, denied these rights to his staff. Marty Rathburn, as the Inspector General for Ethics, just stood by while the technology was changed and gave his big rubber stamp.
Technology changed?
Yeah, there's a project set up years ago in Scientology to change it because it was realised that Ron Hubbard had said some pretty far-out things.
Yeah.
It was coming under scrutiny. The book All About Radiation contained clear falsehoods. A lot of his books did. They had to be fixed to make Scientology credible. So, slowly changed the policy letters. L. Ron Hubbard becomes a trademark, not a human being.
So who was in charge of that project then?
Don't know who was in charge of the project. It was a general fundamental agreement, but Marty Rathburn himself, as the Inspector General for Technology, signed off on these things. He stood by and allowed this to actually go. My messenger organisation that I was part of had the Office of the Senior Case Supervisor International.
Yeah.
Rubber stamp, change it, change it, change it. I mean, all these books and things that have come out and all the technology has been changed. What you're being asked to believe here is that Ron Hubbard himself, at the St. Hill Special Briefing Course, which included all materials on Scientology, himself was a squirrel. His own technology that he delivered to personally supervise to hundreds of people, thousands, was all wrong. And somehow he just didn't even look at his own dictionary. He didn't even look at his own policy letters. Yet he was teaching it for years. This is the epitome of utter ridiculousness. That at the start of every course in Scientology and in the Sea Org, there is Keeping Scientology Working, which says any alteration to the text. But David Miscavige and people like Marty Rathburn said, but, we found a new document that says that Ron Hubbard really meant this. Well, where's the document? And when finally people asked on OT level saying, excuse me, but did Ron really say this? It took him about a decade to finally come out with the handwritten L. Ron Hubbard pages. Well, do you really believe they came from Ron? Why did it take 10 years to get them out?
Yeah.
It takes a long time to write somebody's handwriting. If you're good enough.
Yeah. So tell me, what was your procedure, or how were critics handled? How were critics viewed? Threats to the church. What was your procedure on handling them or dealing with them?
There's a specific procedure. The procedure is when you've got this critic, he's gotten the information from somewhere to come and attack. Where did he get that information from? And once you've identified the source of that, and it's always a human being, okay, find out a way to discredit them. Now, people talk about on the internet and on boards and in books that Scientology, or not Scientology, but the management of Scientology manipulate information. Well, here's the big shock to everyone out there that's looking at this, is that thing you call a priest pertinent privileged file is not privileged. True. The auditor, person auditing you and your case supervisor above that auditor are probably never going to discuss those details. Most of them are very good like that. They wouldn't violate that sacred trust. The trust is only entrusted to them. I can still, as a messenger, walk into the folder room and grab anyone's PC file and read it. And that's exactly what I did. I can look in their file and see, right, this person has admitted when he was 7-year-old to having a dog lick his genitals. He's admitted to having sex with a woman that was legally underage. Oh, I've got this boy now. Now, how do I get that information out of his file into the public domain? There's several solutions to it. First solution is I can get him to admit it. Oh, how on earth would you do that? You approach him and you sit him down and you say, look, we're going to put you through a security check. Okay? This is just to clear up everything, make everything in order, and then we're going to clear you and we're going to give you a new post. Okay? The guy goes, oh, cool. Sit him down, security check questions. He sits down. He's not in an auditing session anymore. And the auditor says, still an auditor, but not doing an auditing session. So, have you ever had sex with someone who's underage? And the guy thinks, oh, well, yeah, you know the answer to that. And the auditor goes, no, we know, but we're just doing this you have to answer the question, so it's still a security check for your qualifications. The guy goes, yeah, I have. I mean, I did this, blah, blah, but you know about that. The guy goes, thank you very much. Gotcha. We've got it now. Now we're entitled legally to put that out in the public domain because we're morally conscious of society's needs to know these things.
And so how many people knew about this where you're working? Like, how many people were aware of this? Everybody in CMO, or?
I would say the commanding officers of CMOs, no. The deputy commanding officers, no. And the HCO area secretaries, no. The other staff, to a mild extent. I mean, they were familiar because they would often see the end results of a smear campaign against a staff member. And it's quite horrible for a staff member. He's gone in and admitted to all these things in his life, and then he gets out of line and you decide to do a committee of evidence. Now you splatter all these personal details on a committee of evidence, and it's on the staff notice board. And the guy feels that big. You're talking about his perverted sexual behaviour. Oh my God, you've destroyed this guy's reputation. To the very people he works with every day. Of course he's going to bow down and be a dog to you now.
And what about those that don't bow down? What happened? What do you do to them? What did you do to them? The ones that kept fighting, or the ones that kept?
Oh, they were troublesome. We had, people that didn't comply were just annoying. I'm like, another one that's got a free mind. Christ. Why question it? It's not going to change anything. If you keep questioning, we've got the rehabilitation project force. We've got the penal colony we can put you in. The threat of that alone is enough to terrify people to not do it. To sit back and go, whoa, okay, all right, yeah, okay, it was out ethics for me to have said that, okay. Because the fear, the idea that you could go into that environment is horrible. Now, if they were beyond even that, we're talking about a very free-minded person. The only other solution is kick them out. And once they're out of the seal, you've got to cut them off from Scientology. How do you do that? You enforce an order, which we enforced all throughout Los Angeles, that if you were an ex-Scientologist, one, you could never be a staff member of another organization.
You mean an ex-SEAL member?
Yeah, you can never be a staff member of a normal Scientology organization. And if you joined up to a Scientology-run business, you had to sign a paper that said, I do intend to rejoin the Sea Org at one day. And then you'd have to pay your freeloader bill first and foremost from the Sea Org. I mean, you're trapped. You're just caught. Now, you got guys in there for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. They don't know anybody else in life other than Scientologists or Sea Org members.
Yeah.
You put them out on the street, they've got nowhere to go. The fear alone of that is enough to keep you in there.
So what about these crazy interrogations?
There are no crazy interrogations.
No, I mean the things that you referred to as a brain fry.
Okay. This is interesting. You've got a procedure in SEAL called rollback, and it's an informal interview that can be done with another person. It's not auditing. It's not a security check. But you have free reign of terror over what questions you can ask a person. Means you don't have to follow the auditor's code.
Who put out this issue on rollback?
Ron Hubbard.
Okay, yep, carry on.
And you can sit there with a person and ask them any question per se. On the fly, ask them anything. Talk to them. But they're holding e-meter cans. You're reading the meter and talking to them. So you're justified in asking anything. Guy says to you, oh, yeah, I heard that Scientology was into money laundering. Where did you hear that? Oh, from Desmond Harris. Oh, who's Desmond Harris? Oh, he's this guy. Is he a Scientologist? Would he know anything? Well, why do you listen to this guy? The guy goes, well, because he's a friend. What made him a friend if he's not helping you in Scientology? And the beration goes right from there on, and it can increase to anything. There's nothing you can't be asked for in those interviews. the end goal of the interview? A guy walking out of it who no longer complains. That's the end goal. And hopefully he hates the source of information that he got it from in the first place. So enough to disconnect from it. And then you've really got him. No, he's really with you. Rollback is one of the most evil techniques. I've read the HCO bulletins on it, and they're very selected people that can read these. I don't know why I was privy to them. I shouldn't have been. I didn't have the training for it. But this is just nasty stuff. Ron Hubbard's talking about how to confuse the human being and take that confusion and get it directed towards another target. Anything to get you off Scientology track attacked. Here's an example, the IRS case. The SEAL campaign launch was showing the number of human rights violations by the IRS, beating up this person, violating the law on this person, some deaths involved, right? You recall this?
Yep.
The moment the IRS gave us our little tax-free stamp, that's it, we left them alone. And I asked a long-term Scientologist, Director of Special Affairs, I said, did we fix what happened with the IRS? He said, yeah, we got our tax-free status. I went, no, I don't mean that. I mean, did they stop hurting people? He goes, what? I said, our whole campaign for years was about the IRS hurting people. Did they stop it? Did we find out if they stopped doing it? Why would we just got our tax-exempt status? Yeah, don't you see the point? We were never in it to correct their out ethics. We were only ever in it to get our stamp. Once we got the stamp, we walked away from them and let them do whatever they wanted. We didn't care anymore. Did you kill the guy? I didn't give a shit anymore. Who cares? We got a tax-exempt status. But that's not the epitome of hypocrisy. I don't know what is.
Yeah.
How inhumane can you get? We're going to drop the... We were helping these people to fight the IRS. The moment we got the IRS stamp, we dumped them. You're on your own now. So can't help you. IRS is on our side now. See you later. Bye-bye. We've just destroyed your life. We made you write that confession in the paper on the IRS. We made you go public with it. We told you we were going to help you. Bye-bye.
Oh, so that was part of the strategy. It wasn't just, say, the blackmail of the people that had control of the IRS, but also you used...
We used their victims.
Yeah, got it.
And once they were there, left out, hung out to dry, the church just walked away from them. Because we got what we wanted. We got that tax-exempt status. Right. And that's the mentality of the SEAL organization. How do we get it? It's not just one man. And it's not all of them. I mean, you've got this guy, he's a SEAL member, he's working in central files. He's filing, he's writing letters, he's doing his little part for king and country. He doesn't understand that he's just another part of this machine that is geared towards production at all costs. The moment anything interrupts that production, it's extracted, like a bad tooth. Staff members, all SEAL members that are left, L. Ron Hubbard told us to call them degraded beings. Now, people like Marty and Mike and many of these executives out there were the very people that were on TV telling you how great it all was and how all these people are dickheads.
Yep.
And liars.
Yep.
And now they're out. What does it tell you? Not only did they not buy it, they don't want to buy it anymore. They know what they did. They helped to create that, and they should be sorry for it. And they should do something about it. And standing in front of a camera saying, David the Scavenge slapped me on the wrist, is not a confession of what you did. Marty Rathburn, sitting on that ship.
What do you mean, sitting on a ship?
Eating 5-star meals on a ship by a 5-star French chef in the Caribbean. Oh, you poor soul. I feel so sorry for you that you get your own private cabin while the other SEAL members are stacked 3 high in rooms small enough for one human being, and we stack them 9 high in it. And you want me to feel sorry for you because you got slapped? You deserve that and a lot more, pal. You know, because by the end of the day, You were just happy to accept your lot. You thought you had some inalienable right to be better than other human beings. You're not talking about that, Mr. Rathburn. You're not talking about the fact that you had a private steward that came to your table and grovelled and asked you what you wanted to eat and got it for you. You're not talking about the fact that you had chauffeurs. These are luxuries, even for regular human beings. And the regular SEAL member looks upon you as a god, and you abuse your privilege. You know, these guys give up 14 hours of their life every day and go sometimes for years without a single day off, and they take one foot wrong, and they're treated like garbage. And then if they dare leave, they're called a degraded being by Ron Hubbard himself. He told us to call them degraded beings. He said, if you join the SEAL, you are one of the greatest people in the universe. And then after you join, he says, you leave, you dare leave, you're a degraded being. How do you reconcile that? How are you supposed to leave? You're not told that when you join the SEAL. Oh, by the way, if you leave, you're going to be labelled a degraded being. Not by me, by Ron Hubbard.
Yeah.
You're a degraded being. Call me a degraded human. How dare you? I gave my life to you people. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was saving mankind based off of the premise that you presented to me. And you sold me a lie. And then I went around selling that lie knowing it was a lie. And that's the difference between a victim and an aggressor. And these people that are the aggressors, like me, that did ask you to abort, did ask you to walk away from your wife, your children, put your child in a cadet organization and thump them full of Scientology for 13 years, and then when I thought the picking was right, I'd take him out and put him in the messenger organization and put him through a bunch of drills that told him how to get compliance. I didn't give him sex education. I didn't teach him the history of Earth. I didn't teach him literature or the fine works of Shakespeare or Frank Herbert or Orson Welles. I didn't get him to read Moby Dick. No, I got him to read Mission Earth, which is full of perverted sexual acts. And then I go and tell him, can't have perversion. Don't listen to your brain. Don't listen to your instincts. Don't have friends. If you have friends, you might have to comment them one day. So what do? Don't have friends. You have the facade of friendship in the scene. Because at the end of the day, you can know these guys, and then all of a sudden, you're in trouble. Boom, they don't want to know you. Is that a friendship? What kind of a family is that?
Mm.
You know, and then you get these dysfunctional people walking away from the SEAL, and people say, well, you're crazy. Sorry, but who's the crazy one? Me for being there, or for you for not helping me to stop it?
So these kids that you got for the CMO, that you recruited for CMO, how old were they when you recruited them?
Typically 13, 14. We didn't like them too much older than that.
Why?
Because they started to develop their own instincts. At 15, the guy's fully into thinking about sex, women, going out, drinking, perhaps even, dare I say it, listening to music. Well, at 13, you can cut him off on that, because this is where he starts to develop what is pleasure to him. This is as he starts to take the shape of a young man or a young woman.
Yeah.
That's the perfect time to get him. What's pleasure? Pleasure is getting compliance. Pleasure is having people do what you tell them. Pleasure is being rewarded for an up statistic. You're literally taking their instincts and you're actually changing the way their brain works. You do this long enough, it's the Pavlov dog.
Yep.
Okay? Ring the bell, he knows it's dinner time. In the SEAL, ring the bell, you know you're going to get comment. You know what to do. Comply, 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 comply. And the irony is that the prisons just kept hearing your mind. It's the same prison, though, for a civilian going along on a road, driving at 60 kilometres an hour. He has a choice. Do I dare go to 80 kilometres an hour? Well, he can if he wants to. But how would you like to be in a place that knew every time you drove at 80 kilometres an hour? Couldn't get away with it once. How would you feel then? As a civilian here in society, imagine if your government or council knew every thought you had. Every time they put a black box on your car and every time you drove over the speed limit, gave you a ticket, gave you a ticket, gave you a ticket. They knew every time that you had too much to drink and charged you with intoxication, even if you're in your own house. Welcome to the world of the Sea Org, if you let it go on. That's the world you're looking at. Come in for your weekly sick check. You drank too much, you were sick. Ethics condition. That's the world you're going to get. Orson Welles, 1984, take a back step. This is something even greater than that. We're talking about not only controlling your actions, we've taken it back to the step of not only controlling your thoughts, but we've taken it back to preventing you from being able to generate that thought. That's a terrifying world.
Yeah.
You dare let the Sea Org expand. Anybody stands by and lets it get to that point. You have no one to blame for yourself, but something that will make communism look like Bob's sideshow. We are talking about ultimate control. I can line up 100 Sea Org members and ask them a question and I'll get an identical answer. Because that's what they're told to think.
Yeah.
Does Scientology work? Yes, 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 yes. Have you had wins? Yes, 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 yes. What do you think about psychiatry? Bad, 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 bad. What do you think about heavy petting before marriage? No, 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 no. Clones. They do have personalities down there somewhere, but personality requires a means of expression. If you take that away, sorry, that's not an L. Ron Hubbard photo on your wall. Replace it. Where did you get that quote from? Oh, from this book on this. Replace it with L. Ron Hubbard. You're going to get not just going to get robots. Okay, robots is a mild thing. You're going to get something worse. A human being that still computes, but will only compute on what it's told to. That's worse than a robot, because a robot has predefined parameters. But you're getting a free thinking robot. That's terrifying. You want the world to be like the Sea Org? You don't think it's going to expand? Guess what? That's not what they think. Because within the society, there is a certain individual that you can get. He was always the high school bully. He still wants to be the bully. And when you hire him and you recruit him, like I did, I love them. Make him a bully. Give him Tyrone Webb. Small little kid, laughed at, had a big head on his shoulders. Literally a big head for his body, laughed at. Get even. Be a messenger. Tell them what to do. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. And guess what? He loved him. Little Tyrone Webb, I trained him up. And there he goes. Now he's there doing the same thing to human beings.
Yep.
Yelling, screaming, intimidation. Why? Is he an evil kid? It's just that I took away the parts that allowed him to be free. And I augmented that little trait there. That poor little kid had that little thing about him, about being dominated, and he didn't like it. So I gave him the solution. I said, if you're dominated, dominate others. And Sea Org will continue to grow and win if you allow this horrendous policy to exist that can train people to be like this as human beings. Because when you talk to a Sea Org member and you ask them, are you happy being in the Sea Org? And he says, yes, I am. Try to understand something. He means he is happy. Okay? He is, because that's the way he's programmed. If you put a dog into a kennel this big, and that's all the dog knows, it learns to become happy with that environment. This is why we have human rights, acceptable standards of living. The Sea Org takes these children that have already been in the Sea Org. They already live in bunks at the age of 3 years old. This is what they are used to. They're used to not seeing family. You're not giving them something different. You're giving them the same. And then when this kid grows up and becomes like David Miscavige, leader of the Sea Org, and you say to him, oh, it's inhumane to live in a bunk. No, it's not. He wouldn't know what it was like not to. So, if that's the way you want the world to go, just let the Sea Org grow. Do nothing. Sit back. That's Scientologists. How many affidavits are out there? How many people are screaming? You know? Yes, I believe in religious freedom. I believe this guy has a right to be a Muslim. I believe this guy has a right to be a Catholic. This is not what we're talking about here. I'm talking about their actions. I'm sick and tired of the Church of Scientology International putting forward their creed. Going, but this is what we write, but it's not what we do.
Yeah.
You know, here's the difference. A Catholic priest rapes a child. The church itself finds this disturbing and does want that priest to be punished. They do. They don't want their priests to rape. The difference in the Sea Org is that they do want that priest to imprison your mind. We do want control and compliance. We do want you to go to this penal colony. We do want to assign you conditions. We do want to put a head on a pike each week and RPF somebody and hurt them. We do. This is our policy. And they're lying because the church, the Catholic Church says, this is the Bible. It's happy if you preach the Bible. But in Scientology, the creed, you may not apply the creed and you may not apply the text when you're a member of the Sea Org. You cannot, because the policies clearly contradict everything that Scientology stands for. And that is a fraud. It's a lie. And the fact that you can have these people do this to other human beings and not consider consequence like I did is proof enough that there is something intrinsically and wrong in the systemic creation of the organization in the first place.
Got it.
How could I do these things? How could I ask a woman to kill an unborn baby? How could I take this woman and send her away from her child and send her to Europe for 2 years and not allow any phone calls back to their family? How did I take all these people in the Hotel Guarantee building and tell them family time is cancelled because you're a down statistic? This is the very church that preaches family values, that breeds, that talks about creation of a great society. Oh, I'm sorry. You must be talking about something else because I haven't seen it. And every SEALG member, I know a great idea right now. Get every SEALG member in the world right now to do an affidavit about how they feel about it. Go check on them in 10 years. I guarantee you 80% of them will have left and have been declared.
Yep.
I guarantee it. I'll stake my life on it. I was one of those. So I would have fought you to the hell come home. I disconnected even from my own family to be the best messenger I could be. I sent my own brother to the rehabilitation force into the penal colony for having thoughts and for having touched a woman. Now, if that's not a monster, then please tell me what is.
Got it. Hey, thanks, matey.
Thanks for listening. Not a lot of people do.
No. Good to have the info.
I'd like some other people to come forward. I'd like some other people that were in positions similar to mine to admit that we just weren't victims. We did things. We did ask for those things to be done to other staff, and we did them.
Got it.
And be responsible for their actions, even if it means admitting that they were monsters. Because deep down, none of us were. We thought we were doing something right.
And you're part of that machine.
Yeah.
Created by the machine.
I was created by the machine, and then I went off to create more. And I'm really sorry to those people that I got in there and I created them. Because I've run into a couple in the field after I've left, and I'm saddened to see how they've turned out as human beings. Because there's almost nothing human left in them. There's just almost nothing there, just compliance, and it's like a 24-hour police officer with no heart. And stay there too long, and I don't know how. I still haven't been rehabilitated. I still had trouble. I still had nightmares. I still think about things that happened there. have dreams of being dominated and dominating. And I still have that switch in my mind I can turn off, and I want it to go. I don't like being like that. I want my emotions to be real. But it's really hard to have real emotions when they were forbidden for 6 years.
Yeah, especially at that time when you were so young, 15 to 22 or something.
Those were my formative years as a human being. It's where humans find out what they want to do in life and go off and explore and start careers. Like, my career was to hurt you, and I enjoyed it, and I'm sickened that I did. But back then I wasn't, but now it's really hard to reconcile that other human being I see in my dreams, or sometimes coming out in an argument or a debate with some other person. He just jumps out there, and I look at him and I go, how can you look at yourself and think of yourself as two people? You're clearly the same person. The question I've got for myself is, am I a good person that went bad? Or was I always just a bad bastard that just was given the chance to be even worse? Which one is it? And if I'm even asking myself the question, then I need help. I'm not the only one out there having that same question. Marty and Mike, Tom DeVocht. I know we had good times in the SEAL. I worked with these people. We had great times. We had fun. But take a step back and look at what you did. You created an atmosphere of fear and loathing and family separations, and you destroyed all family values and all those things that make us human, that got us to this great part of life that we know, artistic, singing, loving, dancing, music, all these things that make us human. We stripped them from people around us, and we made it okay to be less than human. I need those people to come forward and talk and admit that it's okay to talk about it. It's not okay you ever did it. Nothing will ever make it okay, pal. Sorry, nothing ever will. If you can't live with that, then I suggest you reflect on yourself and ask yourself, what is a human being? What is a conscience? And what is morality, really? There's an answer there. You might have a couple of tears shed when you find out you shouldn't have done these things. And you'll have an even bigger tear when you find out that you enjoyed it. And you might look at yourself and want to kill yourself for it and end your life because of what you put other people through. You don't have to do that. You just have to stop it being done to others now. So step forward. Talk. If you're in a Scientologist and you're in good standing and you have the potential to lose them, understand one thing. The SEAL was promising heaven, when in reality we're all going to hell, according to them. And all your mates will be there. If you have to disconnect now to make your stand and be heard, then do it. One day, down the road, your friends will come and join you again. Because we're all on the same side of the fence. It's just someone else telling you that we're not.
Got it. Hey, mate, thanks for your honesty.
All right, thank you.
Cheers.